some engineers who are in the range of 22 to 25 years have created systems which can code 24 by 7. I don't know what that is. I need to maybe understand more. For the size and the scale of our organizations, the adoption is very slow. Yeah.
It's complex as well. To be honest, the learning curve, it's not like a software engineer can just come and install something and start generating beautiful, highly optimized code.
I have seen that happening. There was also a survey like where boomers, millennials adoption is very poor of AI. As soon as they hear it, they're like, no, it's not really productive. I'm not really finding value in that. But they would not have used it to that extent. Engineers who are like 3 or 4 year just into the system, they are using it effectively.
I mean, you might be right. Adoption of AI probably comes naturally to mid-level engineer.
I connected with somebody in LinkedIn just yesterday where he had posted about some engineers who are in the range of 22 to 25 years have created systems which can code 24 by 7. I don't know what that is. I need to maybe understand more. But they have created those. And there is real disruption happening where they don't really worry about the ethics, governance, or anything right now. So that could be one reason that we are not hearing what the real disruption is, because for the size and the scale of our organizations, the adoption is very slow.
It is slow, yes.
Yeah.
It's complex as well. To be honest, the learning curve is also quite steep. Um, I mean, to use it productively and to make sure you make best out of it, there's a learning curve, right? It's not like a software engineer can just come and install something and start generating beautiful, highly optimized code as soon as possible, right?
And
It has to be.
again, I have seen that happening where maybe we are not so much aware. Like there was also a survey like where boomers, millennials adoption is very poor of AI. As soon as they hear it, they're like, no, it's not really productive. I'm not really finding value in that. But they would not have used it to that extent.
Probably
But I
yes.
have also seen maybe engineers who are like 3 or 4 year just um, just into the system, they are using it effectively. And they are even using tools which are not maybe approved by the organization, which is the other part of governance I was saying, right? It's
Yep.
very difficult to control right now, but they are using it really effectively. And then that's the barrier or the bridge that we are seeing, and that will come to the third point of what we will discuss about how ageism and this is involved, where adoption even is a problem, upskilling is a problem for maybe millennials, where they are looking at, oh, it's not for me, I am done with learning myself, it's not maybe for the previous generation to catch up, right? So that is a risk maybe which is right now at least everyone is having over and maybe touching their 35 to 40 or even beyond, right? So
Yeah. I think you. I mean, you might be right, and I think I have also seen. I think adoption of AI. I feel that probably comes naturally to maybe mid-level engineer, right? Maybe when I say mid, maybe it's like between early. Somebody was transitioned from early to mid, right?
yeah,
Was already past. You can't call him a grad engineer anymore
yeah,
because he spent like 3 or 4 years in a company. At the same time, now he's probably started using AI probably 2 3 years before as well, because these people are born with AI as well.
yeah,
You should understand that
native AI they call them.
exactly,
Yeah,
because when they actually were born, and born as in when they started coding, AI is actually already actually was
post
inbuilt into the
COVID.
system post COVID. Yeah. At the same time, I think that's where I think though they actually might be able to adopt AI much faster, but are they really writing highly optimized code? That again depends on, like I said, we talked about the business side, the domain side of it as well. On one side you have this probably the smart engineers who know how to make best out of AI, but are they really giving the right inputs? Are they able to, for example, run the project themselves? The answer is no,
Yeah,
right? If you want to build a complex product, complex system, you still need the domain experts who are that's where I believe that the ageism factor, right, to kind of counteract the ageism aspect. I don't believe that a 35 20 years experience or 25 plus years experience engineer need to feel disappointed, right? How they can actually upskill themselves, evolve themselves, is to kind of try and be that driving force, right? It's like this, right? It's like in an army, the best people to actually fight the battle, right, in the front lines are the youngsters, right?
Yeah.
But still you have a marshal or a general who is actually quite
Strategizing, yes.
experienced, but he's strategizing the whole thing, and he's basically drawing the map for the battle map for the frontline soldiers. And similarly, I kind of believe that still these higher experienced engineers, I mean, if the higher if I'm a say 20 plus years experienced engineer, if I try to compete against a 5 plus engineer, apply 5 plus years experience engineer and say, you know what, I and you are going to do the same thing, I will show you, I write better code than you, then you already failed, right? I think you're already on your way out. You can't have that mindset.
And is
You should
that not
probably,
what majority are doing right now, which
it
is
could, I believe, still believe that they, and this happens typically with the one dimension engineers, right? But majority of the engineers probably at this 20 plus years experience now are probably all their life, all they've done is built various projects for using Java or JavaScript, maybe a front end or a back end engineer, right? Could be any language. I'm just using
yeah,
Java. I'm
yeah,
not abusing Java, but
yeah.
just using Java as an example. But any developer who has been always been a developer without understanding the domain, and some people also shifted various domains, right? They worked on banking,
Yeah,
insurance,
I have worked on a lot
telecom.
of,
They've done a lot of
even I have done
automobiles.
e-commerce, which you
Yeah,
like.
e-commerce. They they've done a lot of such different domains, but their core skill has always been programming.
Yeah.
Anybody whose core skill is only programming and who has 20 plus years experience should really rethink, are they really relevant? And I don't believe they will survive unless they basically evolve. Upskill, I mean, on one way, on one dimension, they're all one dimensional engineers according to me, right? Because they have actually probably they have built very good code, optimized code in their prime, and they have been the pillars of their company, and nothing to take away that from them. But in today's world, in post AI world, are they really relevant is the question we need. That's why we talked about the full stack engineer, right? Either they become a full stack engineer where they pick a domain and they become domain experts and they become the generals and the marshals to make sure that they can lead this army of 5 plus or 6 plus in years experience engineer into the battle with all the tools, the AI tools, right? They don't really have to, everybody doesn't have to really know how AI
Yeah.
works in a company, right? You know how the business works, how the domain works, what are the actual use cases, what is really needed, and you're probably very good in solution architecture and system design. Complex system design AI is still not good,
Yeah.
right? You might still be a very good system architect who really is very valuable. Such kind of roles obviously are going to stay when it comes to ageism, right? And that's why when I look at my own experience, what I thought was that with all this AI world, right? And I actually being a people manager, I thought I was missing out on basically the evolution. And I somehow felt that, in 2 to 3 years, what's going to happen to my role, right? If I'm a people manager, not that actually I was always from tech background, but still, if is my role even relevant? Is my role of a people manager doing hiring and taking care of administration of 200 people, 200 engineers, is it really kind of going to be valuable in the next few years? The answer is really no, right? That's where I felt that I need to evolve, I need to upskill, and then actually that's what, when I got an opportunity to kind of move into a technical strategy role, I kind of adopted it. I probably call myself also a domain expert now, right? Because I've been in the telecom domain for 20 plus engineers. I'm sorry, 20 plus years. I've been in telecom industry. I know how exactly the evolution of network from 2G to 3G to 4G to 5G to 6G is going to happen.
Yeah.
And hence actually I can use those skill sets and tie it with AI. I'm probably not going to code in my role, right? I'm not going to probably use AI to code, but I'm going to actually create the system architecture and the solution which is required, which is going to help basically fast track the AI implementation. And that's what maybe an experienced engineer can do. I'm not saying same but similar. I would say evolve or upskill, right, into different roles in the company. Don't be one dimensional. right? Try to actually kind of gain even. It's not it's not like, old, you can't teach old dog new tricks. That if you are a believer in that, then obviously you will probably fail in the market today,
Mm.
right? If you think that I would not probably learn anything new, you obviously won't survive much.
Yeah, I
You need
think
to basically evolve.
that's the reality too. That if you spend maybe 20 years, if you know something, you're stuck to it. Maybe, like you call it as domain, but even within that domain, you have to evolve. But again, one point to counter on what you mentioned is, you said the people management side might not exist because you don't really need that. But
So I mean,
like,
it might not exist at the scale at which we are seeing today,
yeah, but
but it will obviously people management will exist because you still need leadership.
yeah, because where will I find those mentors? Like I said, you been my mentor unknowingly. I've learned a lot of things from you. With Without this being there, how will conflict resolution, let's say, mentoring, even all the things related to, let's say, a people leader, I would call it a manager, a leader, that still remain needs to remain. Otherwise, you won't
Absolutely.
see people evolving. They will just be technical otherwise, right?
That's very true. I think
Yeah.
100%. I think I definitely don't kind of say that people managers are not required. I
Mm.
think that they are still required. But today, I think we probably have a people manager or an engineering manager maybe handling 12 or 13 people,
Mm.
right? Obviously, that's going to become a little more flatter. Maybe
Mm.
you would see, again, there are two things, right? One is actually the admin part of it.
Yeah.
That could actually become very flat. You could probably have one admin manager.
Mm.
Look, if people manager also takes a lot of admin tasks, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Approving timesheets, approving your leaves, and all those stuff, which probably it's not the best use of the people manager's time, but it is what it is today. But maybe you need a role which, and I'm seeing that in many companies as well,
Mm.
where they're adapting a very flat structure when it comes to people management, and all those people managers are actually nothing but admins,
Yeah.
pretty much doing a lot of these admin tasks. But when it comes to work, right, we are seeing a lot of leaders of work, which are actually rules which are coming up. Your tech leads or your technical managers, your
Mm.
technical product owners, and all those people. It depends on how the company is structured, right? For example, maybe to give an example, we adopted agile at scale,
Mm.
I think 3 to 4 years back, where the people leader and the leader of work are two different roles. Primarily, the engineer, most of the time he spends is with the leader of work,
Mm.
and these people are the ones which are, like I said, like our generals, right? The leader of work actually keeps a team together, make sure that the issue resolution, conflict resolution, the technical strategy is all laid out, and work with the team to deliver stuff.
He's the people guy.
He is actually the people guy, even though
Mm.
he is not, and it's a dotted line kind
Okay.
of reporting, right?
Mm.
So basically, not all people managers need to directly be involved in the work you do. Then that's where the problem comes, because one people manager cannot be actually across all the technologies which is team works,
Yeah.
and it might become lead to micromanagement and non-optimized way of working. I think we should separate the people manager aspect slash admin work, and then you actually have leaders of work who really actually kind of,
Mm.
and of course I think the way we, I, the problem also why maybe we had the people manager linked to the engineers were also it is easy to do performance appraisals and all, but actually we that needs to change, right? I
Mm.
think it not only in India, overall, if you look at the way performance appraisals are done, it's still bell curve
Yeah.
at the end of the day. I think we should just leave this rating aside. I would say that get rid of the whole rating system, one, two, three, four, five, doesn't matter. Just look at the outcomes, right? And basically plan the hikes or appraisals based on the outcome. Don't really worry about rating the people. And usually, what happens is they initially rate the people, they need to go into these huge calibration sessions and
Yeah.
work out actually why somebody is better than the other. I think they should do away with all this stuff. If you do away with all these kind of responsibilities of a people manager, then you'd be able to achieve a more optimized way, right? You still have leaders who basically, the work leaders are of course very important because they're going to be driving the work, and you're going to be mostly working with them most of the time. Then your people manager then look at other aspects. Hire, they still take care of hiring and upskilling of the team and all those stuff, right? Maybe take away all this admin work from them.
Yeah. I mean, I did not realize the bell curve is a pain for everyone. Like
It is everywhere,
even
and I think it's
even I
rampant in big companies because
yeah.
big companies find it really hard to do outcome based performance appraisals, right?
Hmm.
So they follow bell curve. It's really still very bad.
Hmm. Okay. So, what do you see as IT, at least India's IT's future? What are the bigger disruptions which is happening? Like, I know AI could be one, but there
Low
are,
cost countries as well.
yeah, like there are so many others
Yeah.
who might be existing, but are they coming to the forefront now because of geopolitical situation, or even before that? Let's say Vietnam.
I think that's a good question, and I think to talk about Vietnam, I think Vietnam has been at the threshold, right, for several years now in this IT revolution. Firstly, I think Vietnam, we should understand that Vietnam is again a country which is very stable politically,
Hmm.
and I think geographically it's very well situated. Um, and actually, Vietnam is in the top 20 or 25. The people themselves who are actually with math and science skills.
Okay.
So they have a very good educational system. They have a very good foundation now for the IT industry to start and thrive. The only drawback probably is the English language was the barrier,
Hmm.
right? Because India was obviously always blessed with good education in English, so we were kind of much more forward. But I think Vietnam as a country now got the formula right. I think they are teaching English now as primary or mandatory, right? And they have a young population, good political situation, very
Hmm.
stable situation. Compared to India, they're probably 50% lesser as well in many cases for IT when it comes to IT outsourcing. Yes, Vietnam is going to be a real threat. I think it's already a threat for many entry level jobs. And I think, like we discussed about AI disrupting the entry level jobs in India.
Hmm.
Similarly, I think Vietnam as a country is also going to impact the entry level jobs, and I don't think we can avoid that, right? Because obviously the same thing as an Indian, like 20 years back, me and you probably traveled to different countries like Germany and France and
Yeah.
took the knowledge transfer and took their jobs away and came back to India and started projects here. Similarly, I think we do see that happening in Vietnam, countries like Vietnam as well. And obviously for jobs which are really where the companies, US companies or European companies who are looking at really optimizing the cost and looking at small term IT projects,
Hmm.
definitely Vietnam probably might be a good destination. I think it's already becoming a good destination and it will thrive.
You traveled to Vietnam recently, right?
Yeah, I was in Vietnam for about 10 days. It's a beautiful country. And I don't think, to be honest, infrastructure wise, they are way beyond India. I think it's probably going to take 20 or 25 years for India to really even get close to what Vietnam has built all these years. It's really phenomenal.
And did you see tech parks evolving there, or?
I mean, personally did not visit Tech Park,
Hmm.
but when I visited Ho Chi Minh City, I did see a lot of young crowd, IT kind of crowd,
Hmm.
and I think Ho Chi Minh City now is kind of hub for innovation as well from them. I think a lot of companies are kind of setting up some kind of a offshore development center there as well. So I did see a lot of, like I said, people with IT skills, people who speak English as well. I was surprised to see a number of people speaking English,
Hmm.
and they are very resilient. Like I said, in fact, even the taxi driver or the cafe owner, even if they couldn't speak English, they were quick to use Google Translate and manage the
Hmm.
transaction very well. I think they are actually a very hardworking country as well. I think they are doing everything right to basically tap into this IT outsourcing market.
Okay.
And of course, the people who are going to be impacted is the Indian IT industry, especially the entry level jobs, and of course the one dimensional job like we talked about, Java development, JavaScript, any basically programming. They are going to probably start eating into it.
Yeah. I
And I
think.
think the only way I see Indian IT can kind of not control it, but we can kind of insulate ourselves is by basically getting into the high value propositions, high value part of the software. Like I said, complex integrations, high stakes negotiations, and high stakes consulting. Right? We can still write a little bit on our English superiority over them. I don't know for how many years, but we can at the moment
Hmm.
make sure we also actually make sure we develop high value for the customers, focus on like global capability centers, right?
Mm.
Now, NASCOM report clearly shows that the GCCs are much more evolving now in India, right? A lot of countries or a lot of companies are setting up global capability centers. So, India focuses on the high value software and AI, ML, cyber security, enterprise IT, and so on. So, we focus on the high value part of the software, whereas we kind of try to, leave the entry level IT job to other outsourcing countries. We should not try to compete with them, right? I
Yeah.
don't. There's no point in competing. If they are so low cost, obviously people are going to go for them.
Yeah, there are so many battles to be won. You cannot go and fight everything,
Exactly.
right?
And
So,
one side, actually, we are still understanding how AI is going to impact our industry.
yeah,
If we start worrying about how Vietnam is going to impact our entry level jobs as well, we'll be not be able to win either of those
choose
battles.
your battles wisely.
Absolutely.
Okay. To conclude, then, I think we are at the last phase. Three things. One, we know entry level. What do you recommend the entry level guys has to focus right now?
I think when you talk, entry level, when you talk about the grads, or
Yeah, whoever is just coming
I
out of
think for the
college.
graduates, please try to remain industry relevant.
Hmm.
Apart from your curriculum in engineering, which I think still can evolve, and if the university is not helping you with the industry connects, please try to actually make use of your circle. Go on to LinkedIn,
Yeah.
reach out to industry leaders. There are a lot of, even personally me, if somebody reaches out to me on LinkedIn for some help, I've always actually helped them in whatever capacity I can. Obviously, don't reach out to me until I need job. But actually, if somebody were to reach out to me and say, what is your advice? What can I learn? What tools can I learn?
Hmm.
What technology I can learn? I think be a little entrepreneurial. If
Hmm.
even if you don't want to actually kind of create companies of your own,
Yeah.
be very inquisitive and make sure you can at least pressurize your kind of talk to your university management and try to get industry connects going. In fact, graduates who are in their final year should at least have 5 to 6 industry connects every year, right? At least they should have this
Hmm.
5 to 6 industry connects across various industries to make sure they understand and be industry relevant. Learn the skills. Don't just jump in and say, I want to learn AI and ML,
Yeah.
right? Learn industry skills, domain skills, understand the domain better, understand what is needed to make you employable. That's what I would say.
Yeah, because even we don't know whether AI is the future or not. So
Exactly.
need to know relevant what could be for the coming 2, 3 years or maybe even five.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Second, anybody who's a senior engineer or wanting to move into, let's say, something into a leadership role, maybe they are towards that verge of maybe transitioning from a tech lead to a team leader, right? Is that still relevant or they need to diversify somewhere?
I think it's still, again, depends on your, I would say, don't leave the tech part.
Hmm.
Don't try to be a pure line manager or a people manager.
Like, I don't want to code anymore should
Yeah,
not be
exactly.
your
Don't be
mindset.
somebody like that. Make sure that you actually are relevant still in the tech
Hmm.
circle, right? Keep yourself updated. If your passion is to really help people and upskill people, help them, mentor them, you can do it without being a people manager.
Hmm.
I'm not a kind of discouraging people to become people manager. You definitely can if that's your passion, but don't leave the tech part aside.
Hmm.
Make sure you're always tech relevant, you understand it, you don't have to code every day, but at least understand and make sure you're relevant. And there are different roles, right?
Yeah.
Tech doesn't mean just coding, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
actually have domain expertise, you
Exactly.
have
And
product manager, you have so many roles. Just be relevant in the tech where the company finds it very hard to basically classify you as being redundant, right?
yeah.
That's what you need to understand. If you are just a pure people manager doing admin work, obviously you're at risk. So make sure you understand that clearly before making your choice.
Yeah, because this specific instance, there are a lot of engineers wanted to move into, let's say, into the product side. Maybe I don't know for what reason they are seeing more value there in terms of.
I think it's just our industry problem, because at least I think in India the salaries are probably
Oh, that.
artificially now increased for product managers.
Mm,
That's probably one reason maybe the engineers feel that, look, it's all about, don't don't look at short term gains.
yeah.
I would say if you're a very strong programmer, right, very strong technically, or you're a very strong QA person who has built a lot of automation, and you basically make sure that the quality is very good. You have such a drive, right? Then make sure you identify your career path very seriously. Don't just jump into a role just because it's providing you interim benefit in terms of salary. If you actually get into product management, that curve itself is different,
Yeah.
and even before you know it, in next 5 years is going to be very different. And after that, you might again reach a crossroad where you have to decide what next, right? Because product managers roadmap and uh, a complete techie or a programmer slash developer slash tech expert technical architect roadmap is very different, right? You start getting into the business side of things once you're a product manager. What business cases, how to make money, right? How to monetize certain aspects. Those are things which product managers bring in. And if that's your passion, go for it. Again, it all depends on what you really want to do. But just know the pitfalls and the benefits. Don't shift into such a role just because you're getting a hike or a
Better package.
temporary increase
Okay.
in your pay.
Then comes the last section of us. I mean, I can call myself in that, which is the 35, 40, even 40 and beyond. Right. What is the end of the light at the end of the tunnel for them right now,
I
looking at?
think I think we all need to evolve, right? And I think we should, if you're ideally, you should have already started. I think we know post COVID how we were able to manage without managers interacting with the engineers face to face every day, right? Post COVID, now we know that a lot of optimization hours already open in the workforce.
So that was a reality check.
It's all the real tech for the people managers, right?
Yeah.
People thought that people have to be in front of the manager to really get work done. Now whatever people manager can, I mean, obviously people, a lot of people management role, majority of it also was reporting to the high management and the executives, which now your co-pilots and your Power BI and stuff like that can really provide reports based on your Jira dashboards and all automatically to the higher management, right? You don't have to report anymore. You don't have to kind of, bulk of your work is not reporting anymore as a people manager. So I guess evolve, right? You need to evolve, make sure that you're industry relevant. And I think like it might sound as if I'm pushing everybody to go on the tech side, but
Yeah.
it's not really. All I'm trying to say is try industry relevant. I mean, try to be industry relevant, and if you see any path of evolution, take that, right? Because there will be opportunities, right? The don't be happy with the status quo, right? Always question the status quo, because I think we are at the point where everybody is at risk
Yeah.
of losing their jobs, right?
It's not just
After
limited to.
5 years, everybody is at risk, and obviously most experienced people who cost the company the maximum amount of money are the people who will be maximum at risk, and obviously they will try to optimize such roles and optimize the workforce in such a way that they have people who, most of the people they hire will be the people who are productive the most, right?
Yeah.
And they will try to trim the edges. Just make sure that you're industry relevant, upskill whenever required, grab the opportunities which you might get, and don't be afraid to upskill and learn, right? You have survived in the industry for 20 plus years, right? You can survive 20 years more as well if that's what you really want to do. But the only way to do it is keep evolving, keep adapting yourself, and keep upskilling. And if you do that, I think I'm sure you can sustain the next 20 years if that's what you want to do. But if you want to do something else, drop IT and do something else,
That
that
is
also is a
also.
good opportunity, right? And I think many people actually are doing that. Many people are retiring after 45 or something
Yeah,
from
looking at
IT,
the fire number and all.
doing something else. If that's what you do, want to do, then go for it as well.
Yeah, but silver lining, at least when I look at it, is like if let's say, imagine AI is completely disrupting,
Mhm.
you still need these people who has the domain knowledge,
Absolutely.
has to be techie.
Yes.
Even if let's say you're becoming that one person who still needs to validate what AI generates, you are the right person for doing that,
Correct. Like I
not
said,
somebody
yeah.
who's junior, right?
Absolutely. Domain expertise, complex integrations,
Yeah.
solution architecture, system architecture, um, industry level, core industry level knowledge. You have data which you have gained through the years of experience, which ML and AI cannot gain automatically, right?
Yeah.
If you actually have that relevant knowledge, you will always be, there is a silver lining, obviously.
Yeah.
And even if your job might change, you might actually be asked to do a role which you have not done before. Like, for example, you might become a domain expert who actually feeds into ML and AI. I would say don't be hesitant to pick up such a role,
Yeah.
right? If somebody was to tell you, you know what, Vish, I think actually your role might need to make redundant, right? Because your most of the work you're doing is people management and
Coming and checking people's
and
work and going home.
you're reporting and you're managing people.
Sending
I think
mails.
I can get this work done by a little bit of a lesser experienced person as well, and I would like to kind of make your role redundant, right? And obviously, and but if he comes and tells you that, you know what, apart from this role, I also have this role wherein your job is to make sure that you work on our um, optimizing our models, our LLMs, our tech stack, and everything. I want somebody to look at the strategy where our company is going in terms of technology. That's another option that you can take. And I think obviously not every company will probably offer it to you so openly,
Yeah.
but it might be in different company, right? I'm saying just be open, and I think as long as you're open to kind of do different kind of roles at this point, don't just think that I have 20 years of experience, out of which the last 5 years I have been engineering VP, for example, right? If there is a role which actually in domain that opens up as a domain expert or as a product manager, product architect, system architect, whatever it might be, don't be kind of hesitant to kind of take up such role, right? And I think that roles are going to obviously add value to you as well as the company.
Yeah.
And I don't think you'll be earning any lesser than what you're earning. To be honest, such roles as well, individual contributor roles also are offering very good salaries as well now compared to, it's a myth that people managers get the maximum salary ranges now, right?
Yeah, that's a myth. I guess again, what excites people is hierarchy, right?
I think they need to
Here,
forget that now.
yeah, that
I
is
think
where.
don't worry, exactly, and that's a very good point, because hierarchy at the end of the day is built and structured to make you feel complacent and to make you feel lazy, right? At the end of the day,
Yeah, that's
what
the
happens
reality of
is,
what you're saying.
exactly, you're going to become complacent, you're going to become lazy, you're going to become happy with what you're doing, you're going to become get into that comfort zone, because of which you're going to basically suddenly, if something happens to your role, it's going to be very difficult for you.
Yeah.
And I think anybody who is in similar experience range as us should start really questioning the status quo. Don't be happy with what you're doing. If you're happy with what you're doing, it's short term, I'm telling you, it's short lived, and when the disruption happens, we are going to be in trouble.
Yeah,
So
I think what generally people who go up the ladder, which again I don't believe it's going up the ladder, it's more as you're going up the ladder, your accountability to enable people, I won't call even under you, but within your span, is majorly what you need to do instead of dictating
exactly,
each and everything, or at least micromanaging each and everything that they are
correct,
doing, right? And that's where you will become redundant, because you are not really adding any value when a
exactly.
lot
You need to
disruption
create new
happens.
leaders, right? You
Yeah.
need to create new leaders for the company. If actually I have a, say, a engineering vice president, his role is not just limited to handling high stakes executive conversations and maybe giving a hard time to his reportees,
Yeah.
right? It should be also actually how does he develop the leadership under him, so that actually when the company expands, when a company diversifies, how do I get new leaders?
Yeah.
And many companies actually fail to focus on that. They always think that they can always hire from outside the market, outside the company, in the open market. That's not always the best way, right? If you don't organically grow the team within to basically get those leaders, then you're always going to be in trouble. And scaling, that's where a lot of startups also fail, right? They fail when they try to scale. When what they do is they probably try to hire a VP or a director from outside the
Yeah,
company.
who will
They
bring
think
a
with a
different
lot of
kind of vision.
experience, yeah, but he doesn't understand your company.
He will not understand the DNA of the whole
Exactly. He
company.
doesn't understand the passion that you have brought as a startup.
Yeah.
You have grown from 0 to 60, right? Or maybe even 80. But taking from 80 to 100 is very difficult,
Yeah.
right? To scale to that part, you need the same passion. which maybe the new CEO or CTO which you hire might not have. And that's where a lot of probably startup companies also kind of end up, being just another name on the on the board. So
Mm.
yeah, but interesting times. I think we are
Yeah.
probably at a very, like I said, I think we are at an inflection point right now. Hopefully, we actually don't see the graph falling very immediately flat, but hopefully we kind of
Yeah, but I am very
get time to
much
recover.
excited about how AI is going to evolve in terms of what it is going to disrupt. Yeah, it is going to impact a lot of jobs, but this is also what I think these technological advances are really required, because
Yes.
it's just that we might be able to add more with being flat, or even adding more people also. We don't really know the potential, but that's where I am also eager to understand where this is even
Yeah.
also going. But it also scares me that what is it going to lead to? Is it going to lead to a place where we don't need people to do stuff? It's just going to be AI. Is
I mean, anything we say at this point is going to be a lot of
Yeah,
speculation. But one thing which, however, is a bit disappointing though is, in even with so much of Indian IT outsourcing
yeah.
and so much of engineers, India contributes to 0.2% of the patents in AI. It means the problem really more than the AI itself. I think the problem is with the innovation mindset. I think we need to move away from using AI. 96% and above of our engineers today in
Mm.
India use AI tools to develop software, but we are even not even contributing to 1% of the actual patents of in the AI field.
But I
And that's
think,
something which is disturbing a little bit, because what we are doing is we are actually becoming just consumers of AI
yeah,
and trying to kind of just build software using AI, where we are not thinking about the DeepSeek or the DeepSeek of India, or we are not even thinking about building complex models, right? The thought process has to change. Instead of being adopters of AI,
mm,
we need to move towards. And I know that we probably have missed the bus, right, in developing
yeah.
OpenAI similar.
And I think we can't really blame our innovators for that, because again, like I said, what is the incentive for them to do this? Because if, let's say, China, their investment, whatever I heard, is tenfold of on R&D of what India has given.
Yeah. And I think that's where
So
government has to step
yeah,
in, right? I think government of India, like I said, needs to treat IT industry as a gold mine, right? And do whatever it takes to make sure preserve it for the next 50 to 100 years, for example, right? Because that's something very unique that we have actually got in India. The IT industry has grown from nothing to such a 200 plus billion-dollar industry
mm,
every year. So it means we need to protect it. It means there should be even the government funding to make sure that we enable build something which is remarkably good for the AI, challenging the likes of OpenAI and DeepSeek and whatnot. And I think that is missing today in India. We seem to be good at adopting
yeah,
stuff and using it to build software, but is that going to differentiate us? Like you said, after 10 years, would actually we be really relevant in this field is what we need to understand. Of course, there will be still be jobs, but are we going to be again always dependent on US or China to build us AI stack? That's something that we really need to think. We do
yeah,
have the capability, right? I don't think Indian engineers are really, at least the experienced engineers, are obviously comparable to any other country's software engineers for sure. But are we really using them in the right way to build products, or are we just milking them using doing menial IT projects and outsourcing? Is something that we really need to
yeah.
think about.
I mean, I'm very much hopeful about the next generation, which is going to enable it, I feel, because we are coming maybe from some kind of background of no innovation and everything, but the new generation has seen a lot more than what we have. Maybe
Probably in
I'm
the next 5 years
hopeful.
it might change. Maybe
Yeah,
we
even
build
5 to 10
platform instead
years.
of, yeah, maybe we build a platform which really leverages. I mean, basically we need to build platform which other people can leverage and build software, right, rather than we using other people's tools. So
Yeah,
hopefully we get there.
Yeah, I think so. It's been a long discussion, Karthik. It was uh, amazing as well as very much insightful. I think I did not even realize. I don't know whether it's almost more than 2 hours of discussion, but yeah, it was very
Probably.
insightful. Um, and also started very light, but we went into very deep discussions of in terms of what is evolving for IT as well as people involved there, right? It, I'm hopeful, and I wish that we have more discussions on diverse
Absolutely.
topics, not just limited to this. So,
Absolutely.
um, I think I I hope we connect more often.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I think it was a great conversation and looking forward to more collaborations with you.
Yeah, and big shout out to Niranjan, who's on the
Thank you.
BTS handling the whole show. Oh, thanks a lot, Niranjan.